Hi, I'm Minette Seate, and we're downtown at the Omni Penn, where we're getting ready for a very special interview with the hip-hop artist known as Frizzi. We're going to find out where he's been, where he's going, and what's new. So stay with us. Underneath the Crown is next. Okay, I always start every interview with the same question.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me your name and what it is that you do.
Well, my name is Frizzi. I like the hair. Spelled different though, but I am a hip hop artist, rapper, MC. You can pick any one of those names and go with it, but that's me.
Okay, well, let's start at the beginning. You were born and bred in Pittsburgh. Which neighborhood did you come from, and what was it like growing up here?
Well, I'm from East Liberty, the East Side. I'm from Pittsburgh when I say East Liberty, and when it slangs into itself. I was born there. I grew up in the big circle there. My mom's from New York, my dad's from Pittsburgh, and they both went to college here. Before I started traveling the world and things, that's really all I knew, the east side of Pittsburgh. I mean, you know every side of Pittsburgh, but the east side, next to Shady Side, Morningside area, right off of Negley, and that's my stomping grounds, I guess you can say.
Well, you know, you've got good company. Gene Kelly, Billy Strayhorn, they're both from East Liberty.
Right,
so.
Courtney Hawkins as well. There's the Courtney Hawkins horse. Yes, it has a certain hue to it as far as the color of greatness that comes from there, and it's amazing. And being able to rep that and really put a name for it is legendary. It's an honor.
So, what first introduced you to hip hop? Like, what was the moment when you went?
You know what? I was always fascinated with art. My mom went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh, and so growing up, that's all she did. She was painting and drawing all the time, and I was just really into the arts in general. When it came to music, it was like Will Smith. That's what it was. My mom was like, "You can only listen to Will Smith. He doesn't cuss, so that's really all you can do." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm going to adjust to this." You know, while my friends are listening to Biggie and Tupac, I'm Will Smith over here. It's Big Willie style all day. I was getting jiggy with it in my room at all times. But that's really what introduced me to music, and he was my first album, and I listened to it, and it showed me that this guy that I'm watching is Fresh Prince, and this amazing actor, is the first rapper to win a Grammy. What? Like this, you know, and he's doing what he's doing, and that's really where I got into it. And then my first, I guess you could say, gangsta album, right, was 50 Cent, was Get Rich or Die Trying, and at that moment, the entertainment, the consistency of the music was amazing. Then I really got introduced to Jay-Z, and that's where the first song I ever listened to him was A Dream. It was him, Faith Evans himself about Biggie Smalls, and hearing that perspective of the music blew my mind. And I just was like, I can't believe that he's doing this with these words. I want to be able to do that. To see how impressed people were, to sit at the lunch table and see people talking about the conversation. Jay said this with Big. I wanted that conversation. I wanted my name in that mix. So I just started to study it at all times.
Did your crew from school, your neighborhood friends, were they into hip hop? Was that like a thing you all did together?
They were a little bit. We were like the cool nerds. We're in school. We listened to the hip hop. We listened to hip hop, and we talked about the music. But when we got home, it was all Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers. So they were really into it a lot. It was more sports, and hip hop and sports kind of go hand in hand. So when I was playing basketball in high school and in the middle school, the hip hop music really kind of inspired us and got us excited. So I was into it a lot, but it was more of the sound instead of the lyrics. And as I got older and my intelligence built and my experience started to grow, I started to really appreciate the lyricism of hip hop more, and so did my friends. So the conversation began to become more intense and more layered, I guess you could say, in the art of music.
So where did the name Frizzi come from?
That's a funny story, because when I first started, my name was Freestyle, and that's why people still call me Free now, because I built a really big reputation as Freestyle. When I started with Sony, I was Freestyle, and because I was known for freestyling, like the king of freestyle in the city. That's all I was doing all the time. But as I started to grow as an artist, the label and management, they were like, freestyle is a very popular word. And when you Google it, if you get as big as you want to get, finding you on Google is going to be a little difficult. And at the time, Frizzi was my AKA. I would yell it on songs, but it wasn't my base. And they were like, that's really unique how you spell it. F-R-Z-Y is very different. Let's go with that name. Let's try out Frizzi. It has a ring to it. It's short. It's quick. And that's what we stuck with. And now Frizzi is my name completely. And and I'm the only one with it. Hopefully now, maybe saying that now, probably not, but yeah, and it's stuck, and now the fans and everybody adjust to it.
I just think it's kind of amazing how you've got this name, but it's also so brand ready. I mean, the logo's already designed around it. It's practically ingrained onto a belt and ready to go into the back pocket of a pair of jeans. Was that part of the consideration?
It was about, I've learned a lot about the branding of music as well, and being able to be an image, right? And something that's easier to remember, right, than just a sound. I wanted, if someone's blind, they can hear me. If they're deaf, they can see me. I wanted to make sure that no matter from what perspective your senses allowed you to listen and experience music, I was there. And looking at the words like that, and amazing artist named Carter Warren, she designed the logo. And when we saw it, it was like just layers on top of layers. And I was like, that's, like you said, perfect for a belt buckle, book bag, t-shirt. I wanted on billboards and everything, and it was perfect just to give the layer and to show that individually I still am one,
It's been a big year for accomplishments for you, one of which has been 40 Under 40. Tell me about that and how that feels. You know
what? Growing up in Pittsburgh Magazine, World Magazine, those type of things, it's like a rite of passage. I think if for anyone in the entertainment business, you want that accomplishment. You need that. And immediately when I started even working with some of my publicists and different people, they had already become one of Pittsburgh's 40 Under 40 and 50 finalists. And I knew that not that the odds were against me, but it wasn't common for a rapper to be in there, especially for his profession. Like, you're an MC, you're a rapper, this is your accomplishment. A lot of it was CEOs and doctors and lawyers, which is an amazing accomplishment. It's hard to do it in itself. But I was like, that's what I want. I want to be that first guy to be in there as an MC and be recognized as Frizzi and being able to put on for my city. And when I got that call and they were like, you made the 40 Under 40 list, I was just, I kind of teared up a little bit. It got a little mushy, a little emotional, but it was a big moment for me. It felt like a rite of passage. It felt like at that moment, my city had fully accepted me as an MC. And
how many copies of the magazine did you buy?
I'll say I went to a couple stores. I went to a lot of Barnes and Nobles and a lot of like Walmarts and Targets and just kind of like took a thing. And then like when you're buying it and they're ringing you up and you're like looking at the cashier like, oh, hey, look at that, that's me on there. You kind of want that discount too. You're like, oh, no. But oh man, I'm definitely in 2 triple digits at the house. There's a couple boxes. But it was a big moment though.
But along with those accolades, there's also been some sponsorships on a national level.
Yes, just building a great relationship with Adidas right now as well, and we are they're just working with me with apparel and really adjusting and promoting my brand and helping me, and we're pushing to grow bigger and do bigger things, and a lot of big stuff is coming that I wish I could talk about. And it's just like to have a brand that powerful have your back and to back you and push you is amazing. Also working with Sandra David as well, who's an amazing stylist here. Well, she's from Pittsburgh here, and we're working on some special fashion things. I'm trying to get on my Kanye West a little bit, start to dip my feet in the water and feel the temperature and getting to, like I said, push the brand and get bigger with that and move in that way. And one of the big ones, Snyder's Tea, right, which is, a family name grown in the city. I grew up drinking Snyder's in school. You get your milk from Snyder's.
My God, if I had $1 for everyone I saw with one of those little tiny cartons in their hands.
Yes.
We wouldn't do that.
We'd probably be somewhere drinking one of those things. But with Snyder's Tea, we got to sit down and I'll be coming out with a tea with them. And that's something that's big. No rapper has done something like that. It really dipped their hands in the tea. And it'll be out, soon this year. And people will be able to go to stores and drink my face.
Do they sit down? Do you have a flavor consultation? Do you start thinking about profiles and
we do.
Is it thirst quench? What do you do when you design?
Well, you know what? I'm a tea guy myself. I'm like a tea connoisseur myself. I love everything about it besides having to go to the bathroom a lot after you drink it. But but being able to sit with them, and they taught me about, I have a better appreciation about those things. Because you just go to the store, you buy a can and you get it, you drink it from Snyder's to Arizona, things like that. And I got to find out that, okay, every flavor has to match this, and what are we going to do with the branding and the coloring, and what do we want energy? Do we want it to be sweet? Do we want it to be bitter? So I got to go to the factory, and the whole family took me out there and got to show me how the machines and how everything works, and I got to sit down and test flavors and taste this. And I'm like, no, I don't like this. I like this, and move in it. So the flavor we got together is great. I think everybody's going to love it, and it really puts on for the city as well. I have a sweet tooth myself, so I hope people like sweet drinks, because I'm all the way, if I go buy my tea, it's extra sweet. So
that's so interesting and fun. So I'm curious about what a typical day is like for you as you try to navigate this path to stardom. Like, do you just get up in the morning driven, or do you have a to-do list?
Man, I'm always driven. When they're awake, I'm awake. When they're asleep, I'm still awake. There's really no break, and I feel like there's no break. I love going consistently all the time, and whether it's DJ Wonderboy on the phone telling me what to do or where to go, I know I have a mission of my own, or there's writing to do, or there's phone calls to be made. There's always something that can be going on, right? Getting everybody on the same page at the same time is probably one of the hardest libraries to run. I have to, like the Warriors mentality, you have to move, you have to do that if you want to win, if you want to be the number one rapper. I guess it's a competitive world. The minute I take a break, the minute I don't do that appearance, someone else does. Or the minute I don't push that song on the radio, someone else does. And then I miss my chance. And I'm not okay with missing chances. I'm not. So it's hard work.
It's all about being relentless.
Yes.
Can you tell us anything about Pittsburgh's hip hop community? Is it a nurturing, supportive community? Is it competitive? Are there, cliques?
Right.
Tell me what that's like.
It's funny because, they always say your city's the last one to support you, right? When you're making this move and moving hard, and I've experienced that myself. I mean, don't get me wrong, the city loves me. I get a lot of support, but I have to fight for that hard. And it's very competitive, and there's a lot of cliques. And what you want to do is the more and more you're out in this hip hop scene and people get to notice you and see you, you begin to become friends with these cliques and people get to merge together. But at the same time, there's still cliques and there's still crews and there's people who will support certain sections of the city because they're from there more than they will the whole city as a whole, or someone who's trying to represent the whole city and not just claiming east side or south side or west side. And with that can come problems and complications, and especially now on the internet, everybody's a bully, everybody's tough. But the hip hop scene is great. I think that we have a chance. I always call it a mini New York, right? A little Mecca. We have a chance to do some great things. I think that it's important for a lot of these artists to not only support each other, but also give each other room to do things, not compete so much. Like if someone does a show, someone's like, oh, I did a show at the Rex, and next week and that person's trying to do the show, the same exact show. I think that we should give each other a lot of more room to breathe and a lot more room to be great. Like everybody's trying to push each other, but at the same time hold each other back, right? It's a weird dynamic, but the talent here is amazing. And every time I leave, now I'm in a position in my career where I'm traveling the world and I'm getting a chance to see hip hop scenes in different places. But every time I come back, it's nothing like that Pittsburgh sound and what comes with it. And I think that we're opening it up, and I hope I am opening up doors to show people that the Pittsburgh sound is not just what they're used to. Not that sound is not great, because it is, and it's done great within the industry, but I'm experiencing now when I go out, I'll do radio or I'll do a show, and they're like, you don't sound like you're from Pittsburgh. But it's like, I'm born and raised, I'm from here, this is our sound, this is what we sound like. We have a diverse range of different noises. So it's great. It can be a little troublesome at times, but we're doing well, and we're trying to climb up that ladder as much as possible and really make our name for ourselves and be the next big Atlanta or the next Canada and Toronto and things like that. And I'm looking to be the person that kind of pushes that to the forefront.
Can you describe what the Pittsburgh sound is? Is it driven by rhythm? Is it more lyrical? What's it like?
It's weird because just like any city, I think there's people who follow trends, right? And right now the turn up trend is huge. So we got some turn up rappers in the city.
I'm sorry, did you say turn up?
Turn up. Yes, turn up, not the
like
vegetable. No, that's not
okay.
the
I'm like, geez, that's so healthy.
Even though it's grounded. But no, going in the club and it's so lit right now, we're turning up, and it's we're the lyrics really don't make any sense, and we're mumbling, and we're not people are just kind of saying whatever they want to say as long as the beat is hot. And as long as the hook is catchy, so you'll have some of that in Pittsburgh, which is not bad. You need that. When I go out to the club, I want to do. I'm not listening to the lyrics and trying to break things down. But here in Pittsburgh, I think you'll have those people who follow that trend, and then you'll have the people who are like the underground, because Pittsburgh has a serious underground hip hop scene that are just lyrical and very bars based and just hardcore, but then you have your gangster rap too. So you have every bit of the city has a little cornerstone that represents a certain sound. So I don't think we have one sound, but when it comes to like accents and tones and different things like that, like I have a different accent and tone than Wiz does. He's not originally from the city, but he was raised there. So he's picked up that Pittsburgh move. Some of us say yens, some of us don't say yens. So I don't think there's one consistent sound that you can hear, but I think once an artist establishes that hard, like I'm trying to do, then that will become the thing, Right now, you can't just listen to an artist and go, oh, he's obviously from Pittsburgh, like you can Atlanta or like you can from Canada.
Okay.
But I think that's growing and becoming Pittsburgh. The P is becoming more. I think the light on it is shining a lot brighter in the billboard of the music industry. But right now, it'd be terrible for me to be like, oh, the sound is me. I'm the sound. But I think that I shine in a room of light bulbs that some are on and some are yet to be turned on. But I think we're doing good right now. We're being consistent.
So Wiz Khalifa and Mac Miller are arguably the two best known names in Pittsburgh hip hop. Do you have a relationship with those guys? Do you hang out?
Well, I know Wiz. Me and Wiz have some history going back. I've never actually met Mac before. We travel in some of the same circles. I've met his mom a few times, and with us being, especially with them two being such a big name, and now me joining the ranks of their names, we definitely. Our names jump around, together a lot. But me and Wiz, we go all the way back. A lot of people don't know. Funny story, I'll tell you. When I was in LA shooting the Subway commercial, I was staying out, and I had a meeting through Move Management with Warner Brothers to talk about a deal. And they were like, hey, Warner Brothers wants to meet up and talk and do this deal. And I was like, okay, this is great. I was super excited. It was like one of my first big label meetings. And they were like, well, they want to do it on the same day as the Subway shoot. So we have to push it back a day. We'll just do it the next day. And I was like, oh, that's great. I'm not going to move the Subway shoot. So I go to the Subway shoot. I'm shooting. And I never forget, the agent comes into the trailer. He has like a look on his face. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? He's like, well, I just talked to Warner Brothers, and they decided to go with another artist from Pittsburgh, actually. And I was like, well, who's from Pittsburgh? And they're like, his name is Wiz Khalifa. And I was like, oh, wow. And at that moment, I was excited for him, but as any artist would be, I was disappointed. I was like a little sad, in which, he had a great relationship with Warner Brothers, ended up leaving them and going with Atlantic and having a great career from there. And you always go like, man, what if I got that meeting first, right? What if things would have maybe moved a little quicker for me? But I always, want to support him. And we know each other. We grew up around ID Labs and in different programs rapping together. And I actually, one of my fans showed me they had like a VHS tape of me and him in a battle back maybe in like 2005 together. You have to ask them who won, but he knows who won. But no, we've always had a great relationship, a cool like friendship. We're not best pals, but he's a good guy. But being from my city, I obviously always support him. But it's competition, right? My job is to destroy both of them. In a good way, like, I'm not going to kill them. I'll hurt them and buy them a Band-Aid. I'll take care of them. They'll be all right. But no, they're doing their thing, and I'm very proud of them. But I'm coming, and I want to make sure that everyone that's affiliated with them knows I'm coming. And it's an aggressive take on things, and it's supposed to be that way. I have a Jay-Z lyrical ability with a 50 Cent mentality, right? It's we have to keep each other on each other's toes, especially being from this city and they've made such a big name for this city and made a lot of people proud. I just want to continue that tradition and add my names into that and to remind people it's not always about who did it first, it's about who did it best. And that's what I'm out here to do and improve.
A lot of the best records, or at least the most talked about records in hip hop, are all because of collaboration. Yes. Either collaborating with someone with a similar style or someone who could accent your lyrics, or going in the complete opposite direction. Right. And playing with like the guy from Metallica. Right. Like on your how do you feel about that kind of mixing of the two worlds? Oh, I love that. I mean, that's what music is, right? It's collaboration, it's sounds, it's noise. No noise is dedicated to one genre. Right? I feel like if you can find something that mixes together, go with it and run with it. I was, if I get the opportunity, I want to work with like Madonna, and I want to, I've always wanted to work with like Prince, R.I.P. and really change the game. And also crossovers, bringing those fans from there over to my side, or my fans from there over here. On iStyle Special Edition, the mixtape that I released, we did an opera song called Inquire, where I had an opera singer on it. On the album that's coming up with God King Slave, we have a cappella groups, and and we have alternative singers and people who you would usually never associate with hip hop. But you put the right artist with the right track, you crack the door and you let God in, right? So that's to me, you have to take advantage of that. You have to. It's fun. Why would you not want to? Yeah, I have notes here just from listening to the album. Just a few of the names. There's Morgan Arena. There's Gene Noble. There's the Rodman Street Baptist Choir. Yes. There's like the 3-piece band that seems like it actually like tilts a little metal that you're playing with on the Ouija video and in the Sessions piece. So it seems like you're really like exploring all kinds of. I want to. It's fun.
I'm a fan of music, of all music, right? I don't just listen to hip hop all the time. Even when I'm in the gym, I'm usually listening to Janae Oko. I'm working out to the top pop songs. I can't get Meghan Trainor's song out of my head. I want to be, oh yeah, right. I want to be me too. But I wanted to take this album and take a chance to explore and branch out to a lot of people who everyone would probably turn a side eye to as far as doing records with. And Morgan Arena was perfect because she's from Pittsburgh. So to be able to have a Pittsburgh artist that has an amazing sound, that has traveled the world and explored different cultures.
She has this very crystalline, pure kind of voice that was very surprising.
Yes, it has that eerie, epic. I always use the word epic, very like 300 Spartan. You know, you feel like you're going into battle when you hear her voice.
Exactly. It's very evocative of like a windswept plain, and here comes a crowd of dwarves coming in with hatchets. And they're going it's completely. I love it. It's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it is very Game of Thrones. I'm a huge fan. Got to prepare for those White Walkers. When I first met with her, and they're all these artists, especially Voice and Jessa Brandon, Gene Noble, right, and Aisha Scott. They're all writers too, and I was very thankful for them to believe in my writing and to allow me to approach them with the idea and the style that I had for the record, and to give it to them and let them take it and make it their own. Like I gave them the recipe, but the dish they made is the tastiest thing I've ever ate.
Everyone, I mean, they each bring very individualized talents to each of the cuts they appear on, so I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Who were the artists who inspire you?
Wow, that's a good question. Obviously Jay-Z, I gotta say Jay-Z first. I think he's the number one on my list. Everyone who knows me or does any research on me knows that Jay-Z that's who it is right there. And I study film, I study tape, I watch him on stage at every interview, and I try to figure out like how this one man can control this crowd of thousands of people. There's no hype man with him, just a band and a sound. And it's like, if I can learn how he does that, I can take that formula and make it better, right? And I want to inspire him. That's my dream, to inspire Jay-Z. But Jay-Z inspires me. Obviously Prince, amazing artist. I'm a big fan of like Usher, and go old school with like Music Soul Child, and people who really were songwriters. And the Confess album speaks for itself, but you listen to those cuts and it's not just an amazing music and amazing sounds, but it's also the instrumentation and the presentation. It just painted a perfect picture. And I was like, I need to be the Picasso of my generation, right? And really do something special about it. But yeah, Jay-Z, Usher, 50 Cent, really big on my list. His hustle and his drive, and especially where he came from. My circumstances weren't as bad as his, but to see someone come from somewhere that low and that dark, and to him to tell that story and the violence, and to come and he's a father and a CEO and an entrepreneur and really changing the game. I was like, that inspires me to the T. So for me, I want to be able to walk down that path and do that. And it's big to say, but Will Smith, I know we spoke about it earlier, but to me, I have a three inspirational circle, right? It's Will Smith, it's Jay-Z, and it's Kobe Bryant. And I take all three of their mentalities and I mash it together into one beast of a person. And I'm like, if I can take the best parts of all of them and put that into one, I'll be unstoppable. And I want that picture, quote me now, I want that picture of me sitting at the table with all three, drinking and talking and laughing. But just seeing Will Smith being able to really be the definition of a brand and be a rapper at first and really do his thing and then become an actor, to the point where you ask kids that are younger than us, they're like, oh, Will Smith rapped, what? But because he did it so well, right? Sometimes they say when you do something perfect, it just seems like you've done nothing at all, so.
I think it's funny that we've lived long enough that people don't remember when Will Smith made Summertime. It's
right. And the parents just don't understand everything, right? I'm like, oh.
All right, turn off the cable.
Yes.
So you have a new album coming out. It's called God, King, Slave.
Yes.
Why that title? Why that very disturbing cover art of you with the lash marks on your back? What are you trying to say to people with that title?
I think to me, the album's a perception piece, and I wanted to get people talking. I wanted to see different views and different point of views of who it is. That God, King, Slave is one of the mentalities that I live by, is to create like a God, rule like a king, and work like a slave. And that's very important to me, and especially I think the times that we are facing in America right now with the racial tension and things like that. It's good to have conversations and to meet up with things. But the imagery, I wanted it to make people think and to make people have a different perception of things, right? I have the lashes on my back, but I have a crown on my head. So with that image, you look and you go, it's painful to look at, but it's also pride in that too, because you're like, oh, he's the king. But you remove that crown and it's just slashes, and you get pity and you get sorrow and sadness, right? You remove the slashes and the crown and it's, oh, he's a king. He's ruling everything. He has his back to the game. So I was like, if I combine those two and give people something to think about and show them the path that it takes to become a king and to become the top artist in your city or in any industry that you work in, right? That there's these pain. If I put this robe on and I walk out, you never see the slashes, but that doesn't mean that they're not there. There's pain and there's blood, and I wanted to share that with them and share the aggression of being the top of your game. And that with being, I think one of my favorite songs is No Church in the Wild from Jay-Z, and he says, what's a king to a God, what's a God to a non-believer, right? Every stage of that comes with its own consequence. And I wanted to be able to make people see that visually and understand that there's pain in this thing, but it's worth it. And I'll go through it. I'll go through whatever I need to do to make it to where I need to make it.
Do you see a clear difference between provoking and provoking conversation?
Yes, I think so. I think so. I mean, here's the weird thing.
Because I think a lot of people just really, they love to say things that are shocking.
Yes.
Or they like to
on
bring
purpose.
up something like that's just bordering on, I don't know, who defines tastelessness, but
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? How
absolutely.
do you decide when, is there a line, and when do you decide how you've crossed it?
I think by creating the line yourself. I think that a lot of people, especially now, because everyone has an opinion, which is great, but especially with social media and things like that, right? There's people who will say to you, you can't say that, or you can't show that, but everyone has a different perspective. Everyone lives in that different realm. Everyone, I can't expect a white person to understand what a black person, because I can't expect a black person to understand what a white person, Mexican, every culture. So it's like, you know what? I'm going to give you this. I'm going to show you that this is a reality that happened. Now you can choose to accept that reality and face it and look at it and have a conversation, or you can choose to turn away in fear. And that's what I wanted to do with the album. The album's not preachy at all. I made sure that I didn't want to tell people what to think, but I wanted to give them the chance to have the conversation. I wanted to let their minds wander. I wanted to create a road for them with a whole bunch of different directions and let them choose their own path. I think a lot of artists, when they do that, they'll create the road and a whole bunch of paths, but be like, you've got to go down this one. And if you don't go down this one, you're a terrible person. And I didn't want that. I was like, everyone has their own things, but I'm going to give you my perspective, but I'm going to lay it on the table, right? I'm going to give you this plate of food. You can choose to eat whatever dish you want to, but I'm going to make sure this plate is a damn good plate of food. And I'm going to make sure that you're full and you're satisfied by the end of it. And I think that's really a big thing with this album.
There are a lot of biblical references on
Yes.
God, King, Slave. There's a song called Judas. There's one
Yes.
Crucifixion. There's Baptized. I think there's at least a couple more that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, God. I think I
Yeah,
just God.
there's God. That should be the easy one for me to remember. Are you a spiritual person? Were these titles chosen because of their relevance to something in particular in your life?
I am a very spiritual person. I try not to go around, like I said, preaching and demanding and things like that. But I've had my own spiritual experiences, and I have my own relationship with God, and it's important to me. And I feel like I'm blessed to be where I'm at, and that's important to let people know that, whether they accept it or they don't accept it, that I feel blessed, and I will continue to do that and move in that direction. And when coming with this album, especially when you deal with religion and you think about the base of religion throughout culture and throughout time, right? And from the Crusades to now to even things like ISIS and stuff, right? That religion is such a strong base, and that it exists as one of our thresholds within society. So I was like, okay, let me show you how many different things relate to this stuff, right? How many different ways these things move. In God, I go, am I a God? You should question that. Am I just a crutch? Or are you handicapped? Do you owe men or your omens? Just give me one day in a Roman, right? To make them realize, like, just because your head's in the clouds don't make you a God. There's so many references that move to this. And to me, being made in God's image, and being a human being and being relevant within society and having a voice, it's my job to make these people realize, like, it's not always black and white. Let's add a little bit of splashes of color. Let's bring some things to light and make people really realize the difference.
you kind of just answered this question, but I'll ask it anyway.
Yeah.
How important are lyrics in what you do? Is it a question of quantity or quality? I mean, because you pack every word.
Yeah.
But there also seems to be a subtext, or at least a direct meaning to all of it.
I think, you know what, and a lot of people, some people won't agree with me with this, but I think that's all that matters, right? I mean, I think that's the first thing on the list. As an MC and as an artist, I was raised in music to be a lyricist. This is what rap is. The beat is dope and the hook is dope, but this is bars. This is what it's about. To make a record and not care about the bars, what are you doing? This is music. This is what it's all about, right? The master of ceremonies, that's my word is my everything. And I think that goes from me telling you the truth to me preaching the truth to me rapping the truth to me being the truth lyrically. And that's, for me, as you change with music, as society changes, and like I said, the turn up stage right now, right? People, I think they think it's a shortcut. So they'll go, oh, this song got a dope beat. I don't have to say anything because the beat is so dope. I'll just make some stuff that rhymes and that sounds good, that makes it. I don't even have to say it clear because they're not going to care, right? But and you can't do bars on a beat like this, no exception. If you're really an MC and you really do this, no exception. I'm not taking that as an answer. You have to put that in there. I can make a song that's turn up and make you dance and move, but I'm gonna slide some bars in there. I'm gonna give you something because once a song is repetitive and you hear it over and over again, it becomes your favorite song. Next thing you know, they're spitting these bars. Next thing you know, they're understanding it and they're having the same experience that I had with Jay-Z's Dream, where I was like, wow, this song is amazing, but wow, did you hear what he said? And how did he say that? And you start to try to figure out how that happened, and then it makes you better. I think that's what it's supposed to do. So lyrics are everything. And that's why with this album, I made sure every song is satisfying. And I sat down with DJ Wonderboy and a lot of the producers and engineers. I was like, I wanted to make sure that every single song that was on here, that you were lyrically satisfied. You can't sit down and pick a song and be like, oh, he just took the easy route on that. No, sir. I wanted to make sure I went hard on that. And I'm here to ruffle some feathers and make people that feel, there are a lot of artists out here that are way too comfortable and they're doing albums exactly the same, or they're doing one style, or they're just saying whatever they want. And I'm here to make that difficult. It's not gonna happen anymore. I don't want that to happen no more.
So let's go back to DJ Wonderboy, the people that are in this room with us today, and just basically your entire production team.
Right.
How important are they to accomplishing what you ultimately want to accomplish?
They're everything to me getting it done. When I first started out, I was like, you see these artists on TV and these big famous rappers and you go, oh, they did it by themselves. Because you don't see the behind the scenes people. And it makes you think that you can do it by yourself, but you can't. It's impossible. And I'm so appreciative of everyone that's involved, and especially with making this album and working with Andrew Goldberg and Daniel Carvalho and Stephen Grant and Paul Crocker. Like, these guys sat down with me and helped me structure this whole thing. And not to mention Wonderboy, being the overseer of everything, and from my production, working with videos and having Matt Cappell's name on everything we do, right? And making sure that he gets the right due that he's owed, because he's worked with me from the beginning, for me doing this from the beginning. So to me, it's important that everyone does it. And as we meet these amazing people and we move and we make these visual sounds and sonic sounds, that everyone feels like a part of the team. And it's important to me that Frizzi is just my name, right? But there's so much more behind that. There's so much more in the writing. I'm so grateful. They probably say I say thank you too much. I'm a thank you, and I'm a grinder. I'm like, you need to carry these lights, I'll carry these lights with you, or we need to mix this, I'll sit here with you while you mix it. Because it's amazing to me that they can do these things. And a lot of these songs on this album wouldn't sound as amazing as they sound without them putting their little pieces in it. So I'm just appreciative of that, and I want to make sure that everything continues to move and build, and the brands continue to grow. And I'm learning that myself, even with production. I'm not a video guy, but like I said, from Matt teaching me stuff and Real Life Designs teaching me stuff, and now we got Mogul Moves Productions we're working on, and it's just being able to have a hand in everything, makes it great. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, you never, it's a completely overworked metaphor, but you never realize how many ingredients go into making a perfect meal.
You don't. You don't. Especially with someone like me who's so hungry. I had to put a bar in there. I had to throw that. You said that on purpose. I had to put it there. but no, you're right. You're absolutely right about that. It's humbling. I think that's what's more so what it is. It makes you realize that having two hands is overrated.
I just think that you can never learn enough. There's so many things out there that somebody can do that you can't do. That
right.
You've got to just be hopeful and accepting of their help.
You do, and find people that believe in you. and have people that are in your circle that really will stand by you, because it's not going to always be lights and TV, and there's going to be some cold times and some grinds, and you got to move here and hustle this up and get this, or the money might not be right, or the timing might fall off, and people that are going to be like, I accept that. Let's find a way to make that work. Let's grind out together. Let's do that. And that's what I have around me with the team that I have, and I can't ask for anything more. And that's why it's my job to go hard as I can to make sure that they all eat, that everyone's fed, that everyone's happy, that everyone's satisfied, and being also respectful of their own careers, because as much as they're helping me get to where I am, it's vice versa, right? And I know that they have aspirations to be great within their field, and I want to be able to, sit back and look at these amazing directors and look at these amazing people that I know that are doing great things and be like, he's a part of my team, but he did his thing, right? That's the Kanye West and my Jay-Z. Like, look at them as their own entity and just being able to be proud, because I'm a fan of everyone I work with. That's what it really comes down to. I'm a fan. I'm their number one fan. Best groupie around.
Do you want to do, I just chose a few songs.
Okay.
The lyrics, for one reason or another, stuck with me, so I wanted to ask you about them specifically,
yes, absolutely.
If that's something.
I'm honored.
You're up for it?
I'm excited about it. I'm excited. Let's see what you got.
All right. The first one's the song Slave.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting to me because there are many, many short verses, but there's just a single word or a two-syllable word for each verse.
Rockefeller, John, Free, Mason, Projects, Poverty, Hood, Trayvon, Freddie, Gray, Area, Sin, Kill, Mike, Brown, Skin.
All word association.
They're connected either by their cultural meaning or something historical,
yes.
Or they just like, what's the story with that song?
Well, I wanted to do something different, and it was all word association, and to show that a lot of these words, a lot of these things that have happened throughout history and that are relevant now all fall into place, no matter what. There's always a way that things are connected, and I feel like the energy in the universe and how things move, we're all connected in some sort of way. And I wanted to tell the story about it, and also to show that slavery is not just a black thing. I think that a lot of times when you hear slave, you just automatically go black, but you take it back to the Egyptians and you take it back to the Jews and a lot of the things that happened to them culturally. I mean, how do you not pay respect to all that? So doing a song called Slave was important to me, to be like, okay, let's talk about everybody. Let's give everyone time to tell their story, but also relate it to things that people may be a little easier to accept now, especially with modern TV, like you say, cut off the cable.
Why'd you limit yourself to like that single syllable or two syllable words? What was that?
I thought it was the best way to get the message across. I think that, how do you tell a story that everyone's heard before, right? I was like, how can I tell that differently? And how can I make that pop? And a lot of times, I'll give you an example. If I say to someone, went to the store and that slave fell and got hurt, they're going to remember slave. That word is going to pop out to them. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take every single word that's like that and just put it in a row. And now you can't forget it. Now the whole thing falls into place, and we'll make it rhyme to add insult to injury.
Ouija. It's another one which got a lot of wordplay, a lot of the lines in with just like 3-word abbreviations. For
yes.
MLB, MTV, this, that, and the other thing that all rhyme together.
And you about to blow like TNT. I hear it now just to say I agree, but you gon' have to leave, so just BRB. And don't forget your home base, do like the MLB.
You seem like you like playing with words.
I love dancing with them. I love doing that. Because like I said, a lot of people think it's limited. One word means one word, and that's it. That's not the way. Who made that rule? Right?
Scrabble.
Well, I'm going for the high score. I'm going for the high score right now. I'm probably a terrible Scrabble player, actually, which is, I can't believe I just said that on TV. I'm a terrible Scrabble player, but to me, that was, as an artist and I think as an MC, you have to sometimes show off your talent, right? You have to show the levels of how it can get, and that, these adjectives, these things, these little 3-word syllables, these little letters aren't always considered words or abbreviations, right? So I'm like, well, I can make it a word. Let's test the human mind a little bit. Let's tell a story without actually giving them the word and letting them fill in the blanks. And I used to tell my one OG why I stare at the stars like TMZ. He like OMG, FRE. You was put here on this earth for that ENT. So they know what these abbreviations mean. Let's fill it out. And let's have some fun with this and bounce some words around. And I think that it came out amazing. It was actually the first song I ever wrote for God King Slave. It was the first track we got done. And the minute we heard it, we were like, we got something special. I'm in a new zone right now. This is a new space that I haven't been in. tell NASA to come on, let's go, let's get out of this world. So that song's my baby, and I really planned on it showing off my lyrical ability and lyrical talent, and to show people that it's not a game out here, and that I take this lyric thing seriously, and that I'm not limited by the words that you use.
Judas is about betrayal, obviously.
Right.
There's readings from the Bible.
I mean us, when I decipher disciples, so they can keep it off the vinyl. What do you do when your idols become idle? You see King James made baskets after Bibles.
Do you feel that you've been betrayed, or is this more of like an allegory for what happens when someone is betrayed?
That's a really good question, because I wanted to cover both of those bases. I think that the top layer of it is betrayal, right? When you hear Judas's name, it's betrayal. You're like, I mean, what he did was unspeakable, but everyone is in this industry has faced betrayal, and everyone in this industry has felt that. And I think that that's helped make people smarter, smarter, wiser, and just more keen on what it is to be in the music business, the business of music. And I have been, I've been betrayed a lot. And even growing up in here, and you lose those friends and you find out who really are your friends. But for me, I was like, okay, when people see this Judas, that's what they're going to think, betrayal. But I want to take it deeper than that, right? And not show appreciation to Judas, but to bring recognition to the haters and be like, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be who I am. If it wasn't for you, the people wouldn't see me in such a bright light. A lot of people look like, why is that person hating on him so much? He must be doing something. And then they go and they look for themselves and they see. And I think that's what happened with Judas, right? In the song, I say, I've been a God, but I can never prove it. So thank God for Judas. They would have been clueless, right? And for me, that's how it looks. If it wasn't for what Judas did, his act, we wouldn't see Jesus in the way that we see him right now. We wouldn't be able to understand the power that was behind that. So I was like, I'm gonna take it from that perspective and really show the world that, especially right now with how the internet is, right? That these haters, these bullies are good. Let them do their thing. They're just making you shine even brighter. So don't try to get rid of them. Don't try to run away from them. Let them do their thing, and let's show them a little appreciation. Round of applause for making me more popular. So that's what we're gonna do. So if anybody's gonna inspire them, if anyone's gonna be the mascot of the hater, I think it's Judas.
And the last one, again, with the biblical reference, is Crucify Me.
Cause I'm a black man in America. I must admit I've been part of all this hysteria. Don't get me wrong, I want my movement to make a mark, but do Black Lives Matter if we all in the dark?
Yes.
But I'm also equally interested in the work with the Rodman Street Baptist Church choir.
Yes.
Did you go to them? Did you have to bring the entire choir into the studio?
I did. It was a process. I grew up actually at Rodman Street. That was the church that I got baptized in as a young man. And when I started putting this stuff together, and we knew that when me and Wonder talked, and Wonder Boy brought me the track, and then we were like, okay, we want to put a choir on here. Now we could do the sample thing that everyone does, or go back and find something. I was like, it needs to be authentic. That's what we did on this whole album. So I was like, I'm going to go down there, because with me traveling so much, I haven't really been there a lot. The church has changed a lot of the faces have changed. So I had to humble myself. I went down there, and I got in touch with someone who works with the choir. They invited me to come to one of their choir rehearsals, not knowing what it was I wanted to talk about. They knew who I was, but they didn't know how the conversation was going to go. And they made me stand right in the middle of choir practice, the whole choir, and explain to them what I wanted to do. And I had a demo of the song already done with me singing their part. Actually, they'll tell you the story. I'm a terrible singer. In the shower, I'm a beast, but I'm a terrible singer. And I got a chance to play it for them, and I was a little nervous because the song does have a little bit of profanity in it and stuff like that. And but it's more of an emotion, a word to describe the emotion that I'm in for it. It's not just there for there. So when they heard it, I was like, oh, they might not go for it. And they were like, oh my gosh, the song is amazing. The message is amazing. 100% in. And we set it up with the studio over at CMU with Ricardo Swartz and everything, and they brought the whole choir over, and we gave it to them like a week ahead of time. They practiced over and over again. They came. It sounded amazing. We had the whole studio full pack of my friends, executives, management people, students from CMU. And it was just like the feeling in the air was amazing, and you knew you had did something special. And just to see the joy in their faces, and for me to be able to be like, wow, it was kind of full circle for me. I was like, this is where I grew up, and I was sitting in these pews watching the choir do their thing. Now they're in here singing my name or singing, to this song. It was an amazing feeling. So for it to come out how it came out, and for the message of it to come across the way that it came across, and it falls into how the industry is right now, being crucified for everything. now, not just music, but what person you love, what person you like, what kind of clothes you wear, what you want to do, how much you want to eat, how much you don't want to eat, what you want to watch. Everybody's getting crucified. So I was like, I want to bring that to light and talk about it. Once again, give people something to talk about, or at least something good to hear.
So you've had some personal struggles. Your family's gone through a lot. Can you share a little bit about that?
I mean, I think that helps define the character of who I am as an artist, and hopefully what I've gone through helps fans and people who look up to me go through the same thing. My mother and my father are divorced, but they're best friends now. We've come a long way, and growing up, my dad faced addiction, and I'm proud to say he's 10 years clean, over 10 years clean now, which is great. And he had to deal with, crack cocaine and that epidemic at the time. And I grew up in that, and I got to experience what it was like to have a father, or have a parent on addiction, and to see what that did and change, and how it changed you as a person. And my dad is the best dad in the world. And even now he's, going through some health things, and a lot of the fans and people have been very supportive through that, and he's coming out strong, and I'm very proud of him for that. But growing up like that and witnessing those type of things, helps, I think, define you. You can go either direction, right? You can be like, I'm going to be just like my dad, and see those actions at the time and mimic that and go down that horrible path. Or you can see it and help it define and make you different. And I saw what it did to my dad growing up, and I was just like, you know what, I'm never going to dabble in that. I'm never going to go through that. With my mom, experiencing that growing up, and her, and me getting a chance to see how strong she is, and you dealt with a little bit of domestic violence throughout that, and seeing my mom go through that every morning, but still put on a face and go take care of the family, was like unbelievable to me. And that was really, your mom is your first introduction to a woman in this world, and to see that, I was like, man, every woman must be that strong, and that's what I want to go out and show to the world, that every woman is that strong, right? That the people who are going through domestic violence things, or who are going through the battle against drugs, are strong enough to make it out of there, and that's what pushes me, especially when it comes to my mom. I want to make sure that she never has to work a day in her life again, right? Never. She's worked so hard to be a strong woman, and to take care of myself and my sister, and raise my sister to be a strong woman, and that's how my sister is too. And now, I have a nephew, and my nephew is growing up and experiencing what it's like to be with a strong woman, a strong mom, just like I did. So the cycle is amazing to watch that. And I want to just make sure I take care of my family for all the things that they've gone through for me, and fought against, and the demons that have come with that. So it's a hard thing to talk about. It's a hard thing to go through, but everybody goes through it. And as long as they know my story, they know what I've been through, and see that I came out to be who I am, and a well-educated, strong black man, successful, working hard to better my family, that anyone can come out of that. And just because you grew up in that environment is an excuse for you, right? Just because times were hard doesn't give you an excuse to make things difficult, or to make things hard in a way. So
you go back and tap into those sources of strength regularly. Do they still fuel what you do now?
Absolutely they do. Absolutely. I was talking to my mom about this the other day. I think that witnessing some of the things I saw growing up between my father, and between my mother and my father, and things like that will always be in my memory forever. I'll never be able to forget some of those images and things I experienced. But I think that helped, in a weird way, condition my brain into memory, and condition my brain into being able to highlight things and select it. And then you come into my music and the art of how popular I am with freestyling and writing, and taking things that I've experienced and seeing them, and being able to put those into words. I think those are the moments that help define that. As weird as it is to think that, like, man, from that pain and that evil came so much good and blessings, and it's like that put my family through this, but because of that turned me into this, and because of that now I'll be able to turn my family into this. It's weird how the circle goes, but I have to tap into it sometimes, and it's inspiring in every source of the way. I mention it every once in a while in a song. I'll touch on it, but it's always the fuel that keeps me going, no matter what it does. And as long as I can breathe and I can move, I will live to take care of my family, and I will die to keep them safe.
That's what you should do.
I promise.
Give me your assessment of the state of hip hop. There was a time when it was this totally fun, simplistic Sugar Hill thing.
Yes,
and
the
everybody was like-
classics.
it was just great and fun and silly and being out in the yard with a boombox, and then it's transformed. It just keeps moving and growing and changing, and it went through this whole misogynistic, violent stage. And though there's still, I mean, there's always still those little avenues that bark off from the main branch. But what do you think? What is your assessment of the state of hip hop today?
I think you have your big dogs, your juggernauts, right? Your Drakes and your J. Coles and Kendricks and Jay-Z's and 50 Cents that are established and come from that time and are established, and you see those as who they are. And then you have your newcomers that are coming in. It's great that there's so much new music coming out. New music is great. But I think that hip hop right now is lazy and it's comfortable, and it upsets me. It drives me. I'm inspired by bad music. And right now I'm more inspired than I've ever been before. And I don't want to judge anyone. I know everyone has their craft and they do what they do, but let's not cut corners. People right now are looking for that hit. They want that hit. It kind of takes you kind of even a little bit back to the ringtone stage, right? Where everybody wanted that ringtone. It didn't even matter what the song sounded like, as long as it was a little bit that could be a ringtone. And I think right now we're getting to the point where it's like, hey, I'm gonna make something that sounds just like everybody else, and we're gonna make it repetitive, and we're not gonna put bars in it. But as long as the youth like it and can dance to it, let's make up a cool dance move and do it. That's all fun and dandy, but that's not everything. Let's not oversaturate this thing. And right now everybody's, you know what it is? The industry is full of lyrical yes men. You have like a group of artists that have people around them that are just like, you're awesome. Like no one wants to tell anyone the truth. No one wants to be like, that's good, but it could be better, right? A lot of these artists don't have managers that push them, and they don't have real people around them. It's like, you could do better. They just do. And because they do, they're surrounded by a bunch of fans and people who are okay with just getting it done, but not doing it right. And it's like, hey, that sounds great. Let's just put it out. And they're like, oh, okay, that's great. And the next artist's like, oh, that sounds good. Let's do that because that's popular, and let's just put it out. Instead of people being like, let's push ourselves. Let's try something different. Let's take risk. When I did Witness on the last project, I was taking a risk with that. Using Tupac and Biggie's name and doing it as a comic book and taking. So let's take a risk. It could have went bad, but let's try something new. Let's sit down and actually put some thought into these lyrics and some of these bars. New ears are born every single day. So how could you not want to put your best material forward? You see a lot of these new rappers in interviews and they go, it's terrible. You're not a rap star. A lot of people are saying you're not a rap star. They're like, oh, I'm not. I'm a rock star. They're like, oh, do you take, like, people don't think you take it seriously. They're like, I don't take it seriously. It's fun. This is fun for me. Why would you do something if you don't want to be great at it? Why would you, for what? For what reason are you doing this? If you're going to do this and you're seriously going to do this and you want to make money and you want to flex, why not want to be the greatest? Why pick up a sword if you're not going to swing it, right? So now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be the greatest to ever do this. That's the goal. That's the plan. Anyone in between here, anyone that wants to chill out and do nothing and relax and have fun with it, I'm going to eliminate you. And that's the plan, really. That's what it is. But I think right now, when it comes to hip hop, people are too comfortable. And that even goes for a couple of big artists that we're not going to mention right now, but a lot of people are comfortable. So it's time to be a little tougher.
Well, some people would argue, what's the point of doing anything if you can't have fun?
You can have fun, but you can also be great at it. You can also to me, you know what's so funny? I think, this may sound weird, so tell me if I'm wrong, right? But if you're doing something, you're a football player, right? And you're just working harder and harder at being the best football player you can be, right? And eventually, when it comes to games, you are killing people out there. Throwing passes is easy and rushing is easy. The game becomes more fun because the greater you get at it, the easier it becomes. Right? So if you know that becoming great at something or working hard towards something makes something easier, then you can actually have more fun because now you're not really thinking too much about it. You're just, hey, this is muscle memory. I'm in here right now. I got it. And it's like, to me, that's what it is with hip hop. With this music thing, I have so much fun. But now I'm in love with the work. I'm in love with the process. And a lot of these people aren't in love with the process. They just want the reward. And that's why I say where everybody want to piece off the release, but where were y'all at the wind up? No one wants to experience the hard work. No one wants to sweat. Everybody just wants a towel. We got to be in love with the process. The process is more fun, actually. I think the process is more fun than the destination. Getting there, right? The road trip is amazing, right? So
after all of this, what's next?
Man, that's a good question. Very simple. Well, the answer is really simple. It's everything. Everything is next. Sky's the limit. Everything's on this album right now. You know, myself, DJ Wonderboy, the team, we've worked so hard on this album. It's put everything into this thing. This is my first album, right? The mixtapes did great, and that's cool. I got some singles out there that's playing on the radio, but this is my first album. This is my everything, and just a lot of big. We have some amazing videos coming out right now with the album. Some amazing big endorsement deals. Some amazing big movie things coming with the music from the album. I'm going to focus on making sure that this album gets pushed to capacity as much as possible. There's a lot of sad things that's going on when it comes to just promotions and touring and shows that will be involved in the middle of that, but also just a lot of the promotion with the album and making sure that everyone in the world with eyes and without eyes knows that this thing exists. So that's really the big push. It's funny, DJ Wonderboy and myself love this album so much, you'll probably end up getting a visual for every single song on this thing. With it being a 2-disc album, I think that there's going to be people that have, sometimes the A side is their favorite, sometimes the V side is their favorite, right? They're going to have songs that they really want to see visuals for, so we're going to try to give everybody that as much as possible, but also trying to broaden the horizons and do a lot of crossover stuff, a lot of remixes with some artists that you wouldn't expect, and really taking things to a level that people think hip-hop can't do, and really putting on for my city, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Will it be touring and live performances?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of tours, especially here in the United States, but we've already set up a lot of stuff internationally as well, in places like Dubai and going over to Europe and doing a lot of stuff and being able to tour with a lot of big artists that people are already familiar with, even just to introduce me more to new crowds and things like that. So that's going to be that's a must, and will be happening this summer. So, wherever people are, wherever they're ready to go, be ready for a Frizzi show. I'm excited to hit the stage. I've been in the studio too much. I'm ready for the stage. So that's coming immediately. We're already planning on that and practicing things like that. So it'll be good. And like I said, with hands in the fashion world and the tea coming and different things like that and stuff with Adidas, there's a lot of reasons why Frizzi's name is going to be on a lot of different stuff. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited to share it with the rest of the world. So.
Well, remember where you came from.
I won't forget. That area code stays with me. I promise you that. I promise you that. Thank you, though. It was an honor being able to sit down with you and QED and being able to take a time. I grew up here, so QED is the station. I got to make Big Bird proud. This is what it is. You know it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.